Hey everybody, welcome to the Matt Gerow Show. It's Matt Gerow. Welcome to another episode. Got a packed episode today. So hopefully you're excited for that, hearing a lot from me. But we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. First off, though, if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Leave a like, subscribe, tell a friend about it. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or I've honestly never met anyone who listens to podcasts on something other than those two things. But if you are listening to something else, thank you. Leave a good review. Tell somebody about it. If you can subscribe on there, please do. I think most things you can. So, yeah. Jumping into it though, NFL Week 1. What a great opening weekend for the NFL. The upsets were there, the close games were there. They had blowouts as well, and that's kind of where I want to start, is with the Dallas Cowboys blowout over the New York Giants, 40-0. Dak, no passing touchdowns, but honestly that's okay. He didn't need to at all. I don't think anyone maybe criticized, anti-Cowboys fans criticizing anti-Cowboys fans might criticize him for that, but regular players, people who watch the game, like, they know why we didn't throw any passing touchdowns. And honestly, he would have had one. But the tight end, I think it was Schoonmaker, the rookie, could have been Ferguson, dropped a touchdown basically right in his hands, in between, like, threaded it. But point is, no interceptions. And he said he's not going to have interceptions like last year. I think he put a limit at 10 at some point during the offseason. Not sure if that was the best idea, but it's hard not to answer when you're getting constantly bothered about it, I'm sure, as a Dallas Cowboy. So yeah, 40-0, way better game than I thought we were going to have. The defense was on fire from the beginning. It was like every time every time the Giants got on offense, I basically got excited, because you could just tell we were either going to get sacks or tackles for loss or a fumble or force an interception, basically. It was like when you're playing Madden and you have this amazing, insane defense, and there's like a few teams on your schedule, maybe in your own division, you have a couple really bad teams you're going to be playing against, and you just can't wait because you're going to get like 7 interceptions against that poor team. Or if you're like really focused on the D line, you're going to attack the quarterback, and the running back's going to come out with no yards, and the quarterback's probably going to come out injured of the game. There's a lot of excitement when your defense plays that well, and they did. And special teams was great too. They got the first touchdown of the season with the blocked kick return for a touchdown. I was jumping up and yelling, and I was just so excited. Didn't expect that to happen this season. Honestly, I was setting my expectations pretty low for Dallas, because every year I've been a fan. I always set my expectations high because guys like Jerry Jones and whoever the Cowboys have as a head coach always kind of get you as a fan there. So I've been trying to hold myself back, and maybe I reverse psychology did. I don't know, but we're 1-0, and next week we have the Jets, and they don't have Aaron Rodgers, and we'll get more into that later. But it's looking like it's going to be 2-0 for Dallas, and we're definitely better than at least one team in our division. So I thought maybe we were going to be the worst team. Honestly, I'm very happy with it. But across the league, it was pretty low scores to start. Definitely remember on NFL Red Zone when they were just showing all the games at like when they're close to halftime, and most games were like 13-7, 10-10, 6-8, not 8, but like 6-9 or something like that. A lot of low scoring football games. Some of them did end up scoring pretty high by the end of it, but most of them led to like some really close endings. Like we had, let me go ahead and pull up the week 1 scores. I was already had the week 2 ones up because I want to go over that. But let's see here. Saints Titans 16-15. That basically came down to the last couple drives. And if you have time to go hear like the sideline audio on those final drives with Derek Carr, pretty inspiring stuff. But he just does that naturally somehow. Commanders Cardinals was close to the end. 20-16, and Raiders Broncos 17-16. I knew there was another one that was like 1 point like that. And then Dolphins Chargers 36 to 34. And then the Patriots Eagles game, even though at the end it was like each team was kind of screwing it up for each other, close throughout the whole game, really. But yeah, so that brought us some nice games to enjoy and everything. But the main takeaway I had from week 2 outside of Dallas was, holy shit, the 49ers are really good. They have a really good defense. They have as good of a defense as Dallas, if not better, for sure, at least as good though. They have one of the best coaches, if not maybe the best guru, forward-thinking coach in the league. And they have Brock Purdy, who seems to be like plenty good enough for their team. So I'm scared to face them in the playoffs. I don't know if we play them this season. I'd have to look at the schedule again. I want to say we don't, but definitely not looking forward to facing them when it really counts, because this team, it seems like a Super Bowl team. They crush the Steelers, just like we crushed the Giants. But the Steelers, from what I've been told, they have at least a formidable defense. So yeah, that was basically my main takeaway. The Bills and Chiefs are bookends of the week 1. The Chiefs had the first game, disappointing, lost to the Lions, and then the Bills lost like terrible, like very disappointingly and close in overtime to the, at least I think it was overtime, yeah, to the Jets after Aaron Rodgers got hurt on the first drive. And if you don't know, Aaron Rodgers got hurt on the first drive and is out for the whole season towards Achilles. So that's a crusher. That's probably the most disappointing thing for the whole NFL. Everyone was expecting them to be Super Bowl contenders. Everyone was talking about how the AFC East is like really like up for grabs. And not the sense that everyone's bad, but everyone's so good, you just don't know who's going to take it. But now it's looking like the Pats have a limit, couldn't beat the Eagles. It's looking like Miami is at the very least an insanely explosive passing game, and because of Tyreek. And the Bills, I don't know what the hell their problem is. Josh Allen threw 3 interceptions to the same guy. Like, where's the accuracy, man? Where are the points? Definitely saw him trying to take advantage of his size and pushing through guys. It just really didn't seem to have the same effect of this game. Good on the Jets. And I mean, they have a legit team, but with Zach Wilson as the quarterback, oh yeah, I don't like that for New York at all. And I, hate that, honestly, for that team, because obviously everyone's been expecting that that's the one position they didn't have to worry about this year. It's not Jets unless you are. So sorry if I said that too loud. That came out super loud for some reason. Moving on though. I wanted to talk about the week 2 NFL predictions. So let me bring those back up. And we'll just kind of go over them. Now, personally, I've been doing like a looking at where the points are, like the plus minus stuff, and I'm keeping tally of that on my own personal thing. And the first week I went 11-4. I thought about like sharing it on the podcast, but I was like, well, easily week 2 I could go 4-11. So I kind of want to see what happens week 2. If I do really well, like the same amount of really well or better, I'll definitely talk about it for week 3. But if it's terrible, then obviously I'm still working out my process, and I will get to you guys with it as soon as I have figured out my process. So, but I will at least say who I think is going to win each game real quick, and that's no big deal for me. So, first game Thursday night, tomorrow night. Amazon's carrying this one. Vikings, Eagles. Eagles at home. Vikings 0-1, Eagles 1-0. Vikings don't have Dalvin Cook anymore. I honestly, it's escaping my mind. I'm going to check real quick who the Vikings played in week 1. It was, that's embarrassing. It was the Buccaneers. So that was the Baker Mayfield win, which I should have talked about because that was pretty incredible too. Baker getting a week 1 win on his new team, the Buccaneers, over a playoff team, So I think it's pretty obvious Philadelphia is going to win that game. So yeah, I'll take Philadelphia over the Vikings. Then we got our 12 o'clock slate, noon slate for here, everyone in Central Time. Packers, Falcons at home. Both teams 1-0. Both teams kind of surprisingly played well. Packers surprisingly really well. Falcons at home. I kind of really love how the Falcons played in their first game. I think that's just going to get better. I think Jordan Love, it would be pretty crazy for him to have two amazing games with how they kind of acted in getting rid of Rodgers like they weren't ready. I'm going to take the Falcons in this one. Just based on the fact that the Packers quarterback probably just isn't going to play that great in his second game, just probably isn't. And he was playing the Bears, who may not be very good this year. The Raiders Bills game, Bills at home. Raiders seem like they suck, to be honest, based on week one. Bills also seem like they might, or they're definitely not as good as last year, but they're going to win this game. Although the Raiders head coach does know how, like, a lot about playing the Bills, so I'm kind of a little bit maybe pulled a little bit more towards them. They did win their first game over the Broncos, but the Broncos may have serious issues. I don't know. You know what? I think I just talked myself into it in front of you guys. I'm actually going to pick the Raiders to win this close one again. Am I really doing that? No, I'm not. I can't. I couldn't even do that with a straight face. We're going to take the Bills. Teams are going to finish 1-1 after this week. Bills are going to win at home. All right. Ravens, Bengals. Let's see. Bengals played terrible. Joe Burrow had a really hard time, couldn't stay protected long enough. None of his guys were catching anything. It was drops left and right. But they play this team really well, especially at home. I want to pick the Bengals because that's my fantasy quarterback. They were so... You know what? They were so bad week one that I think they're going to come back so much harder week two, and they're going to take care of it. And the Ravens are going to let off the gas a little bit, not be as ready for this divisional game. Bengals are going to go and win this at home. Seattle Lions. Let's say Lions 2-0. I really liked what they had going against the Chiefs with the run game with Gibbs, and Seattle is 0-1, losing to, I'm not even sure. Let's double check that right now. Losing to the Rams 30-13. Yeah, that's right. The Rams, who I wasn't sure if they were going to win, but in the plus minus, I did pick them to at least keep it close. They obviously, the Seahawks are, this is a rebuilding year, and the Geno Smith thing may not be working. So yeah, Lions win at home against the Seahawks 2-0. Chargers, Titans. I'm gonna say Chargers win over the Titans. Titans looked rough week one. Chargers barely lost that game to the Dolphins. Bears 0-1 versus Buccaneers 1-0. Give me the Bucks. I mean, they got all the momentum rolling. Bears are coming into their house. Baker Mayfield's good when he plays like this, when he's on fire. Say Buccaneers win. Chiefs, Jags at home. Chiefs are going to win this. Jags are a great team, really good team. Week one, I might have picked the Jags to win this game, but after how week one went, no way Mahomes is going to let another game slip. Next, we have Colts, Texans at home. We got the two quarterbacks. We got Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud going head to head here. I liked Anthony Richardson a lot in that first game. Let's go ahead and take the Colts to win for that matchup in week two on the road in Houston. 49ers, Rams. 49ers are going to win. Rams are just not what they used to be. They did win week one, but they're a shell of themselves, to be honest. And even though they're at home, the 49ers fans will fill out SoFi Stadium, and they will win the game. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, Brandon Ayuk, who had an amazing game, I mean, in the first game. So they're just going to continue to roll, I'm sure. Giants, Cardinals. Both teams are going to be looking to get their first win. Both teams might be really bad. Giants lose at home. They're going to be getting all ready for next week to go down to Arizona to try and win that game. O-line won't have as many issues against Cardinals, but Cardinals aren't nothing at the defensive line. But they didn't seem that great against the Commanders. To be honest, the Cardinals, I know the Giants have a good coach. They just didn't win their first game. I don't even know what happened to them. I'm going to take the Giants to win over the Cardinals and on the road. So then we have Jets, Cowboys. Cowboys going to win that. We went over that earlier. They have no Aaron Rodgers. It's pretty obvious. And then finally we have Commanders, Broncos. Sorry, we have 3 games left. Commanders, Broncos. I'm going to take the Commanders to win in Denver over the Broncos. Just doesn't seem like the Broncos have fixed their problems yet. And it might be Russell Wilson, but we'll see. Dolphins, Patriots. Dolphins are going to win that one on the road. Pats just aren't as good at, they just don't have an answer for what the Dolphins are bringing in. And, excuse me. There are 2 games Monday night. Let's go. Saints, Panthers. Panthers, Saints. Panthers are at home. Let's go with the Saints. Hand a rookie a loss at home, unfortunately, for his name is slipping my mind right now, but Bryce Young. Browns, Steelers, final game of week 2. I'm gonna say the Steelers are gonna win that and come back after that crazy loss in week 1 to the 49ers. Got some pride to adjust and stand up for. So those were my predictions. I had I don't know what I looked like during that part. I pulled my camera off so I could look at the scores. So if I looked wild during that, I'm sorry, but I enjoyed that. So moving on. Oh yeah, I guess I've talked about my fantasy team. I don't have a lot to talk about. I wrote it down so I would, but we lost. Joe Burrow was terrible. Gibson was terrible. Hopkins was all right. Adams was okay. My defense played great, but we lost. My opponent scored like 140 and I scored like 100 and almost like 110 or something like that. So week 1's an audition. Week 2 is where we really see some adjustments happen with that. And I'll keep you guys up to date on that. Team USA, redeem the B or C or D or F team. Yeah. We lost. We didn't medal in FIBA. Changing gears here. Team USA basketball did not medal in FIBA. Once that kind of hit the news cycle that we had lost, I believe, to Canada, a new piece of information came out. LeBron wants to come back and play in the Olympics in 2024 for Team USA. Well, hell yeah, sign me up for that. I would love to see that. And as soon as he said that, we saw Anthony Davis's name. We saw Steph Curry's name, who apparently has never played on the Olympics, which is pretty crazy. I want to say, was Kyrie Irving. And then LeBron even said he was going to try to recruit Joel Embiid because I guess he can come in as a U.S. citizen or something. So, I would love it. Come out with our A team of our actual NBA stars. I think Devin Booker was on that, and maybe Kevin Durant too. We would be unbeatable at that point because the international teams are clearly really good. They've been getting better if you've been paying attention, but they're clearly really good. And you know that they're going to be bringing their A teams too. You know, Giannis is going to play in the Olympics. You know that Jokic is probably going to want to play in the Olympics because these guys like the NBA, but they really love their countries. And the FIBA is one thing, but the Olympic gold champion for your country, that means a hell of a lot more than NBA champion for Orlando, Denver, Oklahoma City. And it's nothing compared to those types of awards. So it would be really cool if we had our Avengers for USA come out and play. I also wonder if we have this whole season go by, LeBron does this Olympics, if he retires after the Olympics or something, especially if they win gold. And it was hard. Ugh. Sorry about that. Talking so long, it just makes you yawn. Anyways, Team USA, I'm excited about it. NBA season, basically, it's been absolutely silent on the trade front. You haven't seen any movement for Dame, just like bull crap that we normally see. Like, Portland has no interest in Caleb Martin. Like, okay. Caleb Martin is a role player, fringe, starter, getting player guy on the Heat. Okay. Doesn't mean really much, And then it seems James Harden's not getting traded. Seems at this point he has a better chance of getting released or something. Also, he might. I guess it came out that he can't play. I think there's something in his contract that keeps him playing for another team, like in China or something. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Maybe they're all trying to work together on a 3-team trade or something. I don't know personally, but I'll be interested to see what happens with that for sure. But speaking of trades, there is one trade apparently being worked out. I saw this right before I started up my podcast, so I made a little note about it. And it has to do with a horrible situation. If you don't know who Kevin Porter Jr. is, he's a guard on the Rockets. Got traded to the Rockets because he had issues in Cleveland. Basically aggression related issues, just like this. And he got in trouble with the law because he repeatedly, with a closed fist, this is according to police, and I believe the examination at the hospital, was hitting his girlfriend in the face and choked her, causing bruising to her neck and making it hard for her to breathe. And I believe that even they said that at least one bone in her face was broken, I think. So it's horrible and just fucked up. I'm just gonna say, Kevin Porter, you're an asshole, dude. Anyways, the Rockets. Oh, and I also want to say that his girlfriend, her name escapes me right now, but she's a WNBA player. And he's the it, there's so many things I want to say about how we shouldn't be turning against each other. Men should be protecting women and so on, but also just like how bad that looks in general for an NBA player to be doing that to not just, of course, a woman in general, that's horrible, but to a WNBA player, I mean, it just makes it even worse because there's obviously supposed to be a bit of a camaraderie. You're owned by, you have the same boss, but anyways, it's just a really messed up situation. And luckily she and him are separated now, and she's been to the hospital and is getting help and everything. And hopefully will heal up soon. But the Rockets want to trade him. They're looking for to give him in away for draft compensation or something like that. I don't know. Kooky. That's the Rockets. They're kooky. You get Dylan. First off, you get Ime Udoka, who's got the cheating on his wife thing. Then you go and you add Dylan Brooks, and you sign all your money to Fred VanVleet for 2 years. It just makes no sense over there. I don't know what's going on. I'd be really surprised if anyone trades for him. Maybe someone uses it like in the Myers Leonard situation where the Thunder did trade for him and cut him immediately. Basically, it worked as like we were able to use it for a salary dump kind of thing, and could see a situation like that. I believe Porter's contract is set up that he can have the rest of it voided pretty easily. So, yeah. Moving on from a less kind of saddening topic to a really interesting one. Chris Paul and Steph Curry both starting. That's the report. Chris Paul and Steph Curry are both going to start for the Warriors. All right, so you have Chris Paul, Steph Curry. Okay, we got to add 3 players here to make 5 on the court. Okay, Klay Thompson, right? All right, so then we got 3. We got Steph, Chris, Klay Thompson, Draymond, unless we're not starting Draymond anymore, but Draymond, or Wiggins. Okay, but that's a really small ball lineup. You're putting Draymond at the 5, your center. He's like 6'8" or 6'9" or something like that, or even shorter than that, actually. But Kevon Looney, your starting center, the guy who's been your center through all your championships. Is he coming off the bench? Is Andrew Wiggins coming off the bench? You telling me Klay Thompson's coming off the bench? That's crazy. Klay Thompson's not coming off the bench. Draymond's coming off the bench. Did you see what happened to Jordan Poole? Did you see him get punched in the face? Who's going to tell Draymond he's coming off the bench? It's probably going to be Looney or Wiggins if we're just like being logical about it. If they really are planning to do this and not trade him or something, might be one of those things where it's like Russ and they start him and then they convince him to come off the bench. I don't know, but it's interesting to say the least. Giannis has had some interesting quotes here recently. I just had a friend of mine send me a Reddit post about him saying basically that he wants to stay as a Milwaukee Buck, but basically the most important thing to him is winning Larry O'Brien's, which, if you don't know, that's the NBA championship trophy. And he doesn't care about much else. So therefore, if he needs to go somewhere else to do that, he will. Kind of scary if you're a Buck, I guess, or a Bucks fan. I know I would be nervous about that kind of stuff. I'd be like, okay, well, either we need to start signing some people or we need to trade this guy. And if we trade him, we better go to somebody like Oklahoma City. They're probably not saying that, but maybe because we have so much draft capital. I think that would be interesting, an interesting trade. Not sure we could offer the best package necessarily, because while we do have the draft capital, there's quite a jump between Shea and the next player. Potential wise, maybe not, but just like how they are and ability at this moment, there's a big jump. So it'd be hard, at least players wise, to put a package together, for Giannis. But it's interesting. You got to pay attention. And obviously the Embiid talk is getting big right now with him getting so upset with the James Harden stuff. So all kinds of stuff going on here. Everybody needs to be paying attention to it. UFO news. This is how we're going to end the podcast. Sorry, I have one little thing we're going to end the podcast with, but UFO news. Got a lot of stuff to talk about here. Mexican hearing. Mexico had a congressional UFO hearing, just like we did in the United States, basically. They had some people come and speak that were very credible, had good stuff to say, good information. Ryan Graves was a part of that. Avi Loeb, I believe, is supposed to be a part of that, but it all kind of got lost in this craziness because this guy came out with these, what they were calling alien bodies. I'm if you've been on Twitter, at least I'm sure you've seen a meme of it at some point. It basically, it's like playing like that, but it's like a skeleton mummified thing. I don't know. But there's a lot of stuff coming out lately that they're fake, basically, that the bodies are fake, and the work behind it is fake, and that's why nothing's peer reviewed by them, and that's why that's why this hasn't basically broken science apart, or news. So disappointing to see something that's supposed to be serious being used like that. Probably for financial gains, I'm assuming. But at the very least, it got a little more attention. Not the attention we really want, but some attention. And honestly, you have to expect this to happen because some countries are going to take it serious and some aren't. And some are going to take it serious, but they just don't know what they're doing. It just is what it is. So disappointing to say the least. It's on YouTube. I believe there's translated subtitles now that you can watch it with. There's also on YouTube like a 2-hour David Grush documentary that was dropped by Jesse Michaels, who I wasn't familiar with till his video came out, but I guess he is like really into UFO theories and things like that. It was really fascinating, the whole documentary. So I would just look up David Grush, Jesse Michaels. You'll find it. It's mostly you're getting a little more information out of Grush and stuff. You're really getting kind of to know his personality, and his wife's in it a tiny bit, and you kind of see that he's really interested in this stuff too, and he's while he may be a fan of it, possibly, you can tell he doesn't like try to grift about it. Basically, he doesn't try to make money off of it or anything like that. It doesn't come off that way to me, anyways. It comes off as a very smart, typical military guy, honestly. So, um, tomorrow though will be a really big day, hopefully, for UAPs and UFOs. NASA is dropping a report that they said was going to come basically like a year ago, and tomorrow's the day. We're going to find out what NASA has to say about UFOs. Basically, it could be a lot of like, we don't have any evidence, we just know there's these images. It could be like, here's the evidence we have and here's the stuff that we found. I don't know, but I'm extremely hopeful that it's enlightening in somewhat way. I know there's been a lot of excitement about a speaker named Bill Nelson, who has something big to do with NASA and was going to speak before, but he didn't get to. So I don't know. I'll let you guys know next week though, after I listen to it for sure. And obviously you can always tune into the report yourselves just by looking into it, and then just getting my take on it next week too. And then the last thing I have for UFO news is that Representative Burchett from Tennessee was able to confirm that Senator McCarthy said there will be more hearings. They were reluctant, basically, but there will be more hearings because of the public support for it. So if you've been paying more attention to this, if you've been looking into this too, if you've been doing something to bring awareness to it just by telling someone or discussing with people at your home or sharing stuff on the internet or even writing to, politicians, it's working. Thank you. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. You keep doing what you're doing, because it's making a difference, clearly. The last thing I want to talk about before we end the podcast today is NBA 2K24. I've been playing it nonstop, and it's amazing. Definitely one of the better 2Ks they've put out in a while. The My Career is so much better. It's insane. There's like a very exciting, fun way to play year one, basically, and then they don't just drop you off after that like My Career normally does. It goes into year two, and the interaction with other NBA stars and the city and all the different things you can do. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of what they've done with the shooting as well. The game reminds me of how it used to be when I was younger, and I'm playing the shit out of it. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Thank you guys again for listening to the Matt Gerow podcast. That's going to be it for today. Follow me on Twitter at Matt Gerow Show, or subscribe to the show on YouTube, or you can get the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts too. Thanks again for listening, and almost sent my mouse flying. I will catch you guys on the next one next week.